the Digital Babble with your host, Flipper. Colorful commentary on your photography. Seen on fingerlakes1.com.
Yo, everybody, it's the Digital Babble here on fingerlakes1.com, fingerlakes1.tv. You can go check us out at our website at tdbny.com. And this is a photography and Photoshop show where we talk about Photoshop and photography techniques and how to get better pictures from your camera, and also preview and review cameras as they come out. So this week we were really extra special. We have we're going to do a couple things because of the 4th of July. We're going to do a little segment here about how to get good fireworks photos, what kind of equipment you need, and how to use it in order to get really good firework photos. On top of that, right after that, we got the Canon 70D was just announced by Canon. So I'll give you a quick preview and rundown of that camera, and right after that. And then in Photoshop, I'm going to take and do something that everybody seems to be posting on Facebook, which is an American flag with fireworks kind of going off in front of it, and kind of give you that kind of poster feel, and maybe do like a e-card type thing in Photoshop. So those are the three things I'm going to do this show, and we're going to get moving here right away. Again, I just want to say that, this is the Digital Babble, and it's a photography show. If you got questions, or if you got something you want me to cover, you want me to do some segment on a certain thing in Photoshop, or you want to learn how to do something better, and your questions are always welcome. If you want me to review your photos and see what I would do with them in Photoshop, you can also send me your photos, and you can send those via email to thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. Your questions are always kept confidential. Usually I only use first name and where you are, where you're emailing from, I guess, if you put your hometown in there. It's always nice to know where people are from when they email us. So let's get right into it. 4th of July, fireworks. Oh my God, fireworks. You got to love fireworks, right? Fireworks. I think there's 7 displays going on tonight. Or no, there's 5 displays tonight, 5 or 6 tomorrow, and then, I don't know, a couple more over the weekend. I mean, it's just going to be fireworks. So how do you capture those fireworks with your camera? Well, I'm going to tell you there's a couple of different techniques, but let's look at the essence of what a firework really is. Okay, a firework is an explosion where it blows particles or some type of a combustible material outward as it ignites it, and then that combustible material burns up in the atmosphere and just kind of fades away. So it's a big burst, okay? And then as it burns up, it disappears. So it's light emanated from an object, okay? So that's the first thing we have to really think about when we're looking at fireworks, okay? So it goes up, and then, okay, and then you got the whole burning off, or the light coming from the firework. The reason why I say that we need to know that is because we need to understand how we're going to capture that. So the light from a firework is not very bright. I mean, you're only talking, probably an f-stop of 1.2, 1.6, okay? So it's not very bright, but it's also not very long. Because, I mean, if you think about it, the firework goes up, boom, okay? You only got a half a second to a second to capture that photo. Now, in order to capture that photo and actually get the firework, you might need a longer window, a longer shutter release than what you can take with your just pulling up and firing. If you pulled up and fired and you froze the action in midair, all you're going to get is specks of light, right? Because it's only going to grab it at one point. If you take a longer shutter approach, you're going to get the trails of light. So let me get something up here on screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. Let's see, it would be this guy right here. So this would be an example of the trails of light. So somebody took a photo, it was long exposed. That way you get the trails of light as the combustible material burns off in the atmosphere. So that's a great example of how a long exposure can actually get you the firework look when you're taking fireworks. This is probably the easiest technique to do, is to take a long exposure of a firework display and, you know, basically just put your camera on a tripod. So that's what you're going to need. You're going to need your camera, you're going to need a tripod, and then you're going to need some way to release the shutter without touching the camera so you don't get camera shake, which is usually a cable release or a self-timer if your camera's got a self-timer. So, great technique to capture fireworks. So saying you're at that fireworks display and they're setting one off or two off, it's great early on just to set up, get your tripod set up, figure out where they're going to be shooting the display off and aim it, get it ready. Then take a couple test shots on some of the different fireworks. So you see one go up, okay, boom, you pull the trigger and you wait and you watch and okay, and then it shuts the trigger off. You don't really let the camera set anything. You got to be on manual mode. So depending on what you want to do for manual mode depends on what you're going to set. I would focus my camera to infinity if I'm working with an SLR. If I'm working with a point and shoot, I would just focus it on the sky anywhere. And then what I would do is I would take and I would do a f3.5 and f5 aperture, and then I would do like a 20-second exposure. And here's why. What I want to capture is I want to capture the explosion and the trails of light. So if we're going to try to capture multiple shots in one scene, kind of like that example, so saying here you got multiple shots in one scene, that wasn't just all set up all at the same time necessarily. That could have been an exposure over the course of, say, 30 seconds. So that's where this long exposure comes in, and it gets really interesting when you start letting it go a little bit longer. So, of course, my first thing that I have up here is you need a tripod. I always like the ball head tripods with the pistol grips. That's my preference. You can choose any tripod that you want, just as long as you can aim it up at the sky and it's stable. Okay? So the next thing you need, let me find the next thing that you need. Cable release. I like a cable release. That way you got a button that you just push and it's on a cable. You're not moving the camera, so the camera won't shake around. You won't get a blurry picture from touching the camera. Now this goes for point and shoots too. You can usually get a cable release or a remote control for your camera. That way you don't have to touch the camera once it's on a tripod. Fourth thing that we need, a camera. Here we have the Canon 70D, which I'll be reviewing in just a minute, or previewing in just a minute. But really the idea behind the camera would be is you want to have enough manual control with your camera, whether it's a point and shoot or an SLR, in order to set your exposure long enough to capture one firework or multiple fireworks. One other piece of equipment you might want to have on hand. Whoops, I just got to find it here. Whoops, that's still not it. Let's try that one. There we go. Is like a bounce card or a piece of cardboard that's black. This one happens to be white. On the other side of it, though, it's black. What you can do is, and this is really neat for if you got a scene too, saying you're looking over a Vista Valley or something, and you got fireworks going up from the valley, and you're looking down from the hill. You want to capture the whole scene, but at the same time, you want to also capture multiple shots of the fireworks, trying to give the whole scene a chance. What you could do is shield the lens from light in between shots. So let me give you the technique. So you set your tripod up, you got your tripod there, you got your camera, you got your cable release, and then you got this card, okay? So you see one go up, it goes, right? And you pull the trigger. It starts a 30-second countdown. It goes bang, and it flashes, right? Then you put the card in front of the lens, real close, on the dark side, the black side. Wait for the next one to go up. When the next one goes up, you pull it away, and you get the next one. Then you put the card back. And then you wait another few seconds, you get another one. You pull the card away, you put the card back. This technique is kind of like multiple exposures, but you're using one long exposure, but you're using a blank or black card to act as your manual shutter. And that's a really neat technique, because what happens eventually is that enough light enters the lens to capture the scene, but at the same time you're getting all these fireworks in the scene as well. So that's where you can get something that looks kind of like the example that I've been using is something like this. this might be a 30-second exposure, and somebody just took a black card and kept going over top of it, you know, so bang, there's one, put the card over, bang, there's two, put the card back over, bang, there's three. It could have been during the grand finale too, and it could have just been a 5-second exposure during the grand finale, and that's what they got. So depending on how you want to capture or what you want to capture, depends on what equipment you're going to use. But that's your base equipment that I would probably say that you want to have in your bag when you go capture fireworks. I would also recommend that your lens not be completely wide angle, because you know you can make your fireworks look like this tiny little thing out in the background, and everything else is huge. You probably want to make sure that you got a little bit of a zoom range so that you can zoom in the area of the sky where the actual fireworks are happening. Unless you can be right on top of them, then they're larger than life. So, keeping that in mind, you know, you're going to go, say you go out. Well, let's take it through the shoot. Say you know that tonight's going to be at the American Legion in Geneva, which I think it is tonight. You go and you, I got the hiccups. Holy cow. Pardon me for a second. Hiccups are horrible. They come at the wrong time every time, right? So, you know the American Legion's having fireworks. So, let's pack the bag. We're going to pack a tripod. We're going to pack our camera. We're going to pack either, make sure that we have a self-timer on the camera, or get a cable release. And then I'm going to find something dark, something that's black, a card that I can stick in front of the lens. And then I'm going to get there early. The reason why I say get there early is because a lot of times you get set up and a lot of people are already there. It's kind of hard to work a tripod and try to get in where you want to be. If you're really looking to capture a particular vista, get there early, set up, and be ready to go. Also check with local authorities or event coordinators or whatever, and find out if you can actually use a tripod. If you can't use the tripod inside the event, see about going outside the event and finding a different view. A lot of times you can find a different view that is more interesting. I've watched people actually take fireworks shots from a dock, you know, and they just come out absolutely amazing. So, you know, you can always find a different venue or a different view of what you're looking at. So just make sure to, you know, be professional, be respectful, and ask if, you know, you can use a tripod or not. But go get your tripod set up, get set up early, get prepared, get your camera aiming someplace, you know, start taking a few test shots, make sure the camera works, make sure the batteries are charged, make sure that you have an extra set of batteries, and be ready to go. When the first firework goes off, that's your cue to start shooting. Set your camera for about a second at f3.5 or f5, and let it see, and then once it takes it, do a preview of it and see if it's what you want. If that's what you want, you can capture each individual firework as they happen, and they're separate files, then you can merge them all together in Photoshop. If you're really looking to get that Vista kind of thing where you got the environment, now we got to get creative. And this is where the long exposure comes in, and that black card where you put it in front of the lens. So it's kind of like you're acting as the manual shutter. So, you know, always have that black card on you as well, because and you could buy a black card. You can go out and B&H Photo Video or wherever and just buy a black card. Or you could take a piece of cardboard and spray paint it black. Make sure it's matte black. If you get glossy black, there's a chance that you could catch light rays from other places and ruin the photo. So matte black, or if you want to do like a piece of cardboard and a piece of construction paper black, you could do that, glue that on there. Very cheap, easy ways to do this. Get set up. Okay, so you're getting shots, and now you're saying, okay, well, I want to go a little bit longer exposure. Let's do 10 seconds. So you set it to 10 seconds, you self-time it, or you got your shutter release, boom. Now all of a sudden you get 2 or 3 in the photo. Okay, now we're starting to get where I want to be. Now let's do a 30-second exposure. So I set the camera to 30-second exposure. I shoot it. Oh, wow, look, all the ground stuff just went totally white. That's where the black card comes in. So in between shots, you put that black card in front of it so no light from the ground enters the lens, so that the exposure doesn't go overexposed on everything. Really neat technique to use, and you get something like this. Fireworks, 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 fireworks. I love fireworks. Don't like the noise, but I love how pretty they are. Love to photograph them too. So now that we've gone over the photography thing and we're going to photograph fireworks, if you have any questions on that, please give me an email, thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. Sing it with me, thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. Let's see. So this week, Canon just announced a brand new SLR, a digital SLR that came out in their family. It's the 70D. It's the upgraded version of the 60D. It's the next member in the family. Let's see if I can find it on the list here. That's the bounce card. There's the 70D. Okay, and then I got a couple of different photos of this. Okay, 70D hasn't changed too much as far as shape and where the dials are located. Pretty much, though, it's got a bigger sensor in it. It's a 20.2 megapixel, still an APS-C CMOS sensor. What that means is that it has a crop factor of 1.6. So you got to remember when you're buying lenses that you go a little bit wider in order to get wide angle and a little longer. Well, you don't have to go a little longer, but you know, you can go a little bit longer with less lens because it's a 1.6 multiplier for how long it is. So a wide angle 28 millimeter would be a 42 millimeter or something of that nature on this camera. So it has the upgraded Digic 5 Plus image processor, which can do, I believe, 7 frames per second. Yeah, 7 frames per second. So it can do 7 frames per second bursts. So saying if you're taking sports shots and you got your autofocus set, you know, you're taking 7 per second. Yes, 7 per second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. I can't even say it fast enough. So there you go. 7 frames per second. It is taking a lot of frames per second and dumping them onto your card. Great for sports photography if you're trying to capture that one moment with you know, your teenage quarterback son running downfield. You did a quarterback sneak and he's running. You're just getting one of those pictures is going to come out. It's got the 19-point all cross type autofocus system. I'll break it down real easy for you. It's a cross type, so it basically takes and it looks for focusing this way and focusing this way. And then basically that's how it gets that extra tack sharp focusing. 19 points all across the viewfinder you can actually use to focus with. Built-in wireless connectivity. It has an automatic wireless Wi-Fi hotspot. Well, it's not a hotspot, but a Wi-Fi card in it, where you can actually upload your shots as you take them right to Facebook, or if you have a dedicated cloud server, or if you have a, like I got a Western Digital terabyte drive sitting behind me that's on my network, and I can open that up to the internet so that I could actually upload directly from this camera right to home, and they're safe and sound. All my photos are safe and sound. Let's see what else we got here. I got to look at all the different stats because I got 2 sets of stats here I'm looking at, so bear with me. Dual pixel CMOS autofocusing with live view. What this means is that in the live view function, as you're looking at the live view function, when you're focusing, it actually gives you this kind of, I saw the demo of it and it really looks kind of neat. Kind of like a blurred image, like an image on an image, and then all of a sudden it gets where it looks like it's flat and it's in sharp. And that's kind of that new live view autofocus piece. So that's really neat. It's got a 3-inch really high resolution screen on the back. Let me pull that up so you can see the back side of the camera. All the dials are about in the same place as everything else. What I really like about the 60D and now I like about the 70D is that screen flops out. So let me pull up the back view with the screen out. So this screen will flop out and flip around, and you can actually use the live view function to get different angles on the same photo. So like saying if you're trying to take a macro shot from the ground up, you could turn the LCD so you can compose the shot and focus it, but still be down on the ground. And you don't have to be down at eye level looking through the viewfinder. You can use the LCD to compose the shot with the live view. Amazing camera. Really love this. It also takes video. This thing is amazing. It takes video, has an extended ISO range, it has a intelligent scene auto mode, so it'll automatically detect your scene, whether you're doing a portrait or you're doing a mountain or a landscape. There was something else that I was looking for. Oh, the screen is touch screen, so you can actually touch the screen to make changes to your autofocusing and whatever else. So there's quite a bit that you can do with this. This camera, they really did a good job of upgrading the 60D to the 70D, and beyond. I expect my partner, Big Mike S, he probably going to be buying a couple of these, I hope. I want to really try one. Got to get those upgraded, you know, Mikey Mike. It uses the same LPE6 battery as the 60D. I think it's also the same one for the 40D, but I'm not sure 100%. But if it is, that'd be great. It's really great. I really think it's a great camera. It's a nice upgrade. It's not a big upgrade to the 60D, but it's definitely an upgrade. And at $1,200, it's really not bad, because every one of the D series, the 60Ds, the 70Ds, the 40Ds, the 30Ds, the 20Ds, the 10Ds, all started at $1,200 and then slowly worked their way down after a few months. And if you're in the market for something like this, you can always buy the leftover 60Ds. They're going on sale probably in a few more weeks, and you're going to see a dramatic price reduction at your places like B&H Photo Video, Adorama, Newegg. You'll probably see them trying to get rid of their stock so that they don't have to try to sell it for less than what they got into it. So they might sell it, you know, just a touch over what they got it for. So you probably get a good savings. So if you're looking to go to the 60D, now's the time to buy. 70D, I might wait on it for a little bit. I'd probably wait maybe a couple, 3-4 months, just so that I got a little bit of time to see how the camera works, one, and two, wait for the price to come down just a touch. But really, it's an awesome camera. I really like this camera, and the weight's not bad either. I was really surprised, and I got to find it here because it's not in my notes up there. Let me see if I can find it here. The weight. It was like 3 ounces less than the 60D, I think, is what it was, and I can't remember. Oh, that's another neat feature this has. If you ever wanted to do HDR, high dynamic range of a photo, so your lights are light, your darks are dark, but everything looks like it's exposed properly. HDR. Very amazing thing with this camera. I think this is one of the first cameras I've seen, at least that I've previewed, that has that function in it, where it'll take multiple shots at different exposures, then smash them together into one exposure and help you get that HDR look without having to have Photoshop experience and understanding how to blend photos. So that's really neat in here too. It has an electronic level, I believe, is the other thing. And the other neat thing that this camera has over all the other D series, the 60D, the 50D, the 40D, is the fact that this can actually do multiple exposures. Okay, and what that means is that the same frame is taken multiple times. So like all you wedding photographers out there, or you want to be wedding photographers, or you're, you know, amateurs that want to do some really interesting things. If you remember back in the day, a photographer would hold up a mask or a black plate, okay, and then shoot through that black plate to mask out a certain area, right? And you'd fire the camera and you'd take your exposure of what was not masked out. Then you took the plate off and you did something totally different, and he recomposed you to be, well, maybe it was a heart, and you know, it was a wedding photo. So you're kissing inside the heart, and outside the heart, you both are kind of looking at each other, you know, with a big grin. You know, that's a really neat technique, and multiple exposures is how you get it. And in the film days, you'd never advance the film. You just shot once and then shot a second time, and then you could get it. This works the same way. And the neat thing about the multiple exposures is you can do 9 exposures onto a single file using 2 distinctive controls, 2 distinctive settings. So really interesting. So for all you film people out there who don't want to give up their film cameras quite yet because digital doesn't do multiple exposures, here it is. The 70D's got it. It's in there. It's in there. It's in there like ragu. It's in there. It's got the HDR. It's got the multiple exposures. And really, one hell of a camera. I love it. So get checking that out. You can go check it out on B&H Photo Video, Adorama, Newegg. You can find the product specs. It was you can go to Canon.com, check that out, and go check out the specs off of there. You can also get some different tutorials on how to use the 70D and some of the new features that they have. And don't forget, it has wireless. So for all you Facebookers out there who like to do photos and then right up to Facebook, if you're within shot of a Wi-Fi hotspot, you can easily take a photo and boom, it's right up on Facebook just that fast. All right. If you got any questions, this is the Digital Babble here on FingerLakes1.tv or FingerLakes1.com. I'm Flipper. Flipper, whatever. And you can go check out our website at tdbny.com, or you can go check us out on FingerLakes1.com, or you can send us an email with any questions or comments or images if you want me to check out your images to thedigitalbabble@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to take a look at those photos for you or your questions and figure out how to answer it and have an answer question show. So, moving on to Photoshop. One of the big things that's been happening this week with Facebook, love Facebook, always gives me good ideas, is a lot of people have been taking American flags, you know, photos of American flags, using that as the backdrop, then putting some fireworks in front of it, and that's it. That's as far as they'd go. They wouldn't go any further than that. One of the things that I really like about the idea is you could turn this into a 4th of July card, you know, a JPEG card, and put it on Facebook. So in order to make this happen, we're going to take several elements and try merging them together. And I say try because, of course, sometimes these things can fail and fail miserably. So, you know, you don't want to really get too hyped up and expect some miracle today, because I don't know what I'm getting into today because I didn't try it ahead of time. So I'm just going to try to use my expertise and just take a few photos that I got and then start playing and come up with an e-card that's all about the 4th of July with fireworks, the American flag, and some sayings or some text, and show you a before and after and go with that. So hang on for a weird and hopefully successful ride here. So I'm going to start off with this original picture here. This is a original picture. This is actually the flag that's outside of my work. Happened to be windy one day, and it was flying very nicely, and I kept taking photos. This was the best one, I thought, especially considering that the blue was very blue, and the red was very red, and the white was very white, and I didn't have to do much in Photoshop. It was a very pretty picture. You know, kind of got you all proud to be an American. So, so here is what I'm going to use as my base. This is going to be my background. So what I want to do is I want to start with this as the background, and what I want to do is I'm going to actually take it, I'm going to crop this in such a way that it stays, it's going to bring it up, and it's just going to be the flag portion, but nothing of the background and nothing of the flagpole. So we might get a little grainy, but we might also blur it out a little bit, so it's going to be the background. So who cares? So let's flop over to Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop. Here's our favorite little, I guess it's our favorite little. This is our flag, and I'm going to just take, and I already set the crop tool to do what I wanted it to do. So I'll show you. I hit the crop tool. Because of the resolution that I'm working in the 1280 by 720, which is for the video format here that we're working in. At home, you might be a totally different resolution, you might be a totally different proportion, but the crop tool works with width, height, and resolution. Width and height can be in pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters. It doesn't matter what system you use for measurement, just as long as you comprehend it. And then the resolution is how many pixels per inch, per centimeter, per whatever. I'm used to working in inches because I know inches. I can relate to inches. I can't really relate to centimeters. I don't know why my brain doesn't work that way. So I'll work in inches. So I know that in a 1 inch square area, I want 300 pixels. So I could put 300 in here and it'll change the resolution of the picture. If you don't want to change the resolution of the picture and just crop it out, just kind of like you're taking a photo on a desk and just taking the X-Acto knife and cutting it out, that's how you do this, by not putting in a resolution. So I'm going to take my crop tool, I'm going to bring it in here, I'm going to get it about where I want it. I might twist it just a touch, just because I want to get a little bit more area if I can. You know, you want to get as much as you can to work with, you know. So we're going to bring right down to that little hump. See the little hump here? I don't want to go into the background. I just want just a flag. So I think this will work. So we're going to hit enter to say I'm good with the crop. Whoa, hello. It made it there. All right. So it did get a little bit grainy, a little blurry. No big deal. No big deal. We got techniques for that. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to sharpen it. I'm going to do the high pass sharpening because I like that technique. So the first thing we do is we duplicate the layer. We go up to filter and we go down to other and we do high pass. It'll turn it into kind of a grayscale kind of thing. I've got it way too high here for my high pass. I'm going to bring it right down to like 1 and I'll show you the difference. So what high pass does is kind of looks for the edges and then makes them more predominant by changing it in the different shades of gray. It also adds a little bit of color too, I think, to it as well. But I'm going to start with 1 pixel. Now we're going to go to 2. Oh, look, now that's starting to show some details. That's probably about what I want, but we'll go a little higher here. Wow, that's way too much. That's too much detail. I don't want that much detail. I'm just trying to sharpen just the edges. So I'm going to back it off until I get to a point where I'm happy with what I see. I think probably 2 is going to work. I'm going to go with 2. 2 looks good. Okay? So now you'll notice we got this grayscale image of our flag, and all you're seeing is just the edges, the outline, the contrast between the darks and the lights when it transitions from area to area. Okay? Now, why this sharpens a photo is because when we change the blend layer from normal to a soft light, it will take and make those edges more predominant. So we turn it off and we turn it back on, and it did an okay job, but not as good as I would have liked it to. If it's not good enough, we can change the blend mode from soft to hard, and then it's a little bit more predominant. And it's very hard to see the subtle differences. Off, it's kind of blurry, and on, you can almost see a little bit more of the pixels too. Bad side effect, but sometimes necessary. So here we're necessary. So we've got this American flag now. It's a little sharper. I like it. I think what I want to do is I want to soften the whole thing somehow. I just think it's just a touch too bright to be a card. Okay, so I'm going to actually merge these layers down because I'm happy with the sharpening. So I'm going to go to layer, and I'm going to go down to merge visible. That way it puts it down all back down into the background layer. If you notice over here in my layer, so boom, it smushed it down. It's now one layer. Now it's my background again. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a white layer over top of it. So I'm going to put a new layer, and I'm just going to take the paint bucket and white, and I'm just going to fill it with white, and then I'm just going to change the opacity ever so slightly. And I don't know where I'm going to do it here. I don't know because I don't want to be that far. I want to be probably somewhere around 60, 70%, maybe 75. So 75%. Most of the color is still there, but it's just not so bright. Or it's not so saturated where it's just like on fire. So if I put something else here, it's not going to detract from the text if I want to make my card. Maybe I'll make it a little higher. Let's go to 80% because I really want the text to stand out with the element of the flag flying in the background. So let's see, I like that. So we're going to merge this down again. I like that look. So I'm going to go layers and merge visible again. Now we got our background layer. This is our background layer. This is what I want to work with. Now I've already opened up several other firework files, all ready to go. Somebody took these photos. I think I took one, and then the other two I found in my clip art. So, so I got these three fireworks ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring each of these background layers back into that first image. So I bring it in and drop it. So now, whoops, it didn't work. Let's try it one more time. Oh, that's right. You got to pull it off. You got to pull it off the table bar with the version 5. Version 6 doesn't have this problem. Little Photoshop thing to it. So you just drag it back, take it from one window to the other and drag it in. I'm going to drag it in multiple times, so I got a couple, 2, 3 here. Then I'm going to close it. Then I'm going to grab the next one, drag it off the top bar, drag them in, copy. We're going to do 2 of these as well. Copy one more time. You're probably thinking, well, geez, Phil, they're awful black. They're not going to look right. You're right, they're not going to look right. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to change the blend mode a little bit. That way the black disappears and all that's left is a firework. So we'll get to that in just a second. And we'll take this last firework here that I had open, and we'll do the same thing. Move him from there to there, and do them a second time here. All right. So now we have all our fireworks sitting here, all different sizes, all different positions. So we can now start playing with what we want to do. I probably didn't have to copy them multiple times. I probably could have just copied them once and then made copies once I did the blend mode, but a little more work. Well, we can get rid of them. It doesn't matter. Saying you make a mistake, just delete one. That's what I love about the delete key. If you don't like it, delete one. And I think I'm going to do that. So we'll work with just the first three and then figure out what we're doing. So let's move these around so I can see them. Okay, there's one, there's two, and there's three. All right. So what we got to figure out is how to get the black out of there. Now there's a couple different techniques we can use. We can use, you know, the magic wand and take out any black color and delete it. That's not necessarily the right way to do it. I would probably say to double click on the layer here, and it'll bring up the blending options and the layer options. And I'll put it right up in the middle of the screen so you can see it. Right down here at the bottom, it says blend if gray is equal to what? This is a mathematical formula. So we can move this to the side so we can watch it. As we slide this layer, notice the black disappears real quick. Then you're left with all these black specks. So, you know, we could figure out how far we want to do it. I don't know how far we want to do it. We want to probably leave a little bit. But you'll get grainy. It'll get grainy really quick. So what we want to do is we want to hold the control key and split, or maybe it's the alt key. It's the alt key. And split that blend mode. So kind of like that, and then maybe a little bit more that way. And now you can play with the blend mode and figure out where you really want to split that exposure. That's kind of neat. I like that. So now notice my firework now looks like it's part of that photo. I'm going to take the next one and do the same thing. I'm going to double click out here on the layer name. I'm going to take and change the blend mode until I get it where I want it. I can't really see it very good, so I might have to pull this off screen a little bit. So we'll start by getting, you know, bringing this up to about where we want it. I'm like, okay, right there. Then I'm going to split the exposure. Just enough to get rid of that line on the right, and then bring back more of the colors because it was fairly dark. All right. Wow. Tough exposure here. Right there and right there. This one might not be good. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. We'll leave it. Same way with layer 3 here. Double click out on the name layer and boom, 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 and slide it this way so I can see what I'm doing. And we're gonna do. Wow, that disappeared quick. All right, so we're gonna split. We're gonna use the alt key and split this accordingly. I don't know where I want to split this yet. Probably right about there. I lose a little bit in the translation, but it was a low resolution file. Okay, so now I got 3 fireworks here. And they all have a different appeal, different aspects to it. Okay, so first off, I want to resize and shape these to wherever I want to be. So I'm going to go Control T or go Edit, freestyle resize, free transform. Why am I having a hard time with words tonight? I'm going to just shape this whatever way I want to shape this. Maybe I want a bigger one. Maybe I want to do whatever. All right, so there we go. A little bit a smaller guy here, and then we're going to make a copy of that so we don't have to do the blend mode again. And then I'm going to move him a little bit different here. And let's take that middle one. I like that middle one. That middle one's kind of neat, except for I got a couple of white spots in there. I don't know how I ended up with that. So let's take the eraser brush and we'll just go down through the sides here and get rid of the white area. If you can't see it at home, there's just 2 little white lines going down the sides of it. I don't know why I had it, but they're gone now. So let's see. I don't know where I want to put this one. Maybe we want to put him down here. Control T and make him big. Make him big. Kind of like this. He went off way too low. And then this guy maybe down here. Maybe shrink him up. Whoa. Maybe just shrink him up just a touch. Maybe do a couple here. I don't know. We'll do it right here. And we'll do another one. Now the whole idea is to change the size of these so it's not the same. I mean, you're going to be able to see the pattern because I'm really not trying to fool you. I'm really just kind of demonstrating. So, oh, I got a black line down that one now. Take the eraser brush, go down the black line here. Goodbye. All right, and then we're going to change the size of you. We'll make you a little bit smaller. You're down in the corner here. All right, so I've put some fireworks out. Here they are, a couple different colors, a couple different things, a couple different sizes. I still don't like the size of that small one. I want to make them smaller. Put them right there. Now, this is where you can get funny and have fun and just do whatever you want. Now what I'm going to do is I want to put some text in here. I want to actually make this an e-card eventually and put some text in here and go Happy 4th of July from the Digital Babble. Okay? So I don't want my fireworks to detract from the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these by holding click on the first layer, hold the shift key and go to the last layer. That's all the fireworks. I'm then going to go up to layer and I'm going to merge those layers, or control E, and now they're all one layer. Okay, so they're all blended together, they're all one layer. Now what I'm going to do is do the same thing. I'm going to take the opacity and I'm going to just drop it back so they kind of become part of the background. Probably around 40%. Looks pretty good. I can also take and still move it as one big unit. You know, I can move it around and put it where I want it. I can resize it. I can make it bigger, smaller. But I think I'm just going to leave it where it was here. So there we go. So we got the flags, some fireworks. Now I want to set my e-card. Now I want to say the text. I want to say my message. So let's grab the text command. So that's the T over here. And then I'm going to pick a good font. I don't know what font I like. Let's see. It's the 4th of July. What do we want? I don't know. What do you think, Flipper? I don't know. What do you think? Let's do Chinese. That wouldn't be good. There's got to be something here that would just say 4th of July. How about I really don't have a lot of fonts on here for some reason. Go figure. Maybe this Rosewood standard might work. Let's try that. Ooh, that's big. Let's shrink you up just a touch here. Let's get you back down to like 12, 14 point. So happy, whoops, 12 point. Get back down in here. Happy 4th of July. Oh, this might work. All right, so we'll click off that layer so it saves it. Going to click back on that layer, go Control T because we can do a free transform to anything in Photoshop. Happy 4th. Oh, I like that. This is going to come out pretty neat. Son of a gun. I think this is going to be cool. I think we'll do the same font and just keep going here. Keep it all the same font. So I click the T again, go back into the main document, click somewhere where I want to put some text, and there it is. Click off the layer, click back on the layer so it saves it. Now I can do a free transform to it. Control T or go up to edit and free transform from, I don't know, someplace in the middle here. I'm just going to eye it up here and then hit enter to save the free transform. And then we're going to do the Digital Babble. So text back into the main part of the document. Whoops, I can't spell the evidently. The Digital Babble. All right. But we're going to do something different with this. So click off of it, go back onto it. There's the Digital Babble. We're going to resize it. We're going to do that Control T, free transform, the Digital Babble. Right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to warp this in some way, shape, or form. Now a text warp is different from a puppet warp or just a standard warp. So I'm just going to hit warp and see what we get here. All it's going to give me is up here on the toolbar, it's going to give me different ways to warp it. So I can arc it, arc lower, arc upper, bulge. Bulge might be fun. No, that's not. No, that low. Don't look good. No. Oh, that might work. That could be fun. Let's see if we can modify it just a touch. Make it a little more pronounced. All right, I like it. All right, hit OK. So there we go. Now we got our The Digital Babble, but now we're going to make it just a touch bigger so it's a little bit more readable. Fill in the screen here. Who's your daddy? And we free transformed it. There it is. So happy 4th of July from The Digital Babble. Merry Christmas. So there you go. Now we made an e-card that now I can take and save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to save this as a JPEG. File, save as. And it's going to be called a JPEG, and it's going to be called image one new. Okay. Okay. Now there's more we could do to this. We could always do some different effects. We could do the outline for the text. We could color the text. I think we can color the text through an FX, which is a blending type or a blending effect. So you can do drop shadow, you can do outer glow, inner glow, you can color it. So I'm going to try to do a color overlay, see what we get. Yeah, see, color overlay just went on in the dark spots of the font. It didn't actually color in what I was looking for. So I'm not wondering if we can't do control and select, and then we get that. Now the question is can we paint in there or not? Let's see. Let's try some red, white, and blue stuff here. So I got a paintbrush, and I need some reds. Let's see. And we'll put a new layer here underneath the 4th of July. Now let's just try painting. No, it's just selecting the pixels again. All right. Well, it was a good attempt for something. I don't know what. So, geez, that's weird. That's really weird. Huh. How much time do we got left? 4 minutes? Well, I'm going to close up the show anyway. So there you go. I mean, basically taking and starting with pretty much nothing, just a picture of a flag and a couple different pictures of fireworks. I then blended them together into a background for an e-card, then added some text on top. And big happy 4th of July from The Digital Babble and me, Flipper. So let's go take a look at the original. This is what I started with here. This is all I started with, was this and some different firework shots. Single fireworks, that's it. And we took it and I cropped it. Let's see if I can draw in here. Cropped it right here someplace. Sharpened it up because I need to make sure that the blur and the pixelation didn't get overbearing. Blew it up to a card size, so now we got it up to a card size. Then I added in some fireworks, so we got a fireworks display here, we got a fireworks display here, here, and here. And then we added some text to layer over top of it. Really straightforward, kind of a card project. Something you can do in 5-10 minutes times just to practice your Photoshop skills. Great to do this with family, friends, and other objects. So here's our original, just the flag. That's what I started with, and here's the card after we got done. Literally taking it from this to this in Photoshop with pretty much no effort, little effort, not much, just learning what the tools do. So that's what it comes down to. So that's this week's show here at the Digital Babble, and I am your host, Flippa, and we're on every Wednesday, 7 p.m. here on fingerlakes1.com, fingerlakes1.tv, or you can check out our website at tdbny.com. Go watch any of the previously recorded shows. You can check us out on YouTube. Just look for The Digital Babble. You'll see my ugly mug up there. And make sure to like us, share us. You know, go check out our Facebook page, like us and share us there. You help us make our show better. So send in your comments, send in your pictures. You can send them in via email, thedigitalbabble@gmail.com. And as I say at the close of every show, I will catch you on the flip side.
A Flipside studio production. It's The Digital Babble. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on fingerlakes1.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter.